Matt, I think Michael and I are going to fight over whose trucking academy between our trucking academies are better. But I think I always wanted my own college. Now I think I want my own trucking company. But in all seriousness, if very few certificates actually have value, that's like one thing. But then we actually need to get people to use this data. And it seems like that's part of the conversation that's happening right now around workforce Pell, because states are going to have to get more active here, both in setting up systems to measure, but also to be more proactive about which credentials and programs are eligible for federal dollars. So is that what's going to have to happen here? Is this government action to get this data to be used? Are financial institutions going to have to get involved? Like, what are you learning to actually get the data to be used by consumers?
So first, by the way, just a data point, because I can't go anywhere without providing data points. But on why exactly to your point, Jeff, we need to get these things used. There was a study that came out about a year ago, right as sort of workforce Pell was starting to trend toward its eventual passage, from IES, from the Institute for Educational Sciences, which sort of ran a pilot on workforce Pell. And where they sort of made something that looked like workforce Pell funds available to people to pursue workforce training, non-degree workforce training. Here's what they found. They found that it was very successful in increasing access. A lot more people pursued it when they had access to those funds. And surprise, surprise, it did nothing to increase people's earnings. Right. So when we have options and in fact, when we have more options and more capacity to pursue them and no nutrition label, you're just adding, just throwing gasoline on the fire. So there's two ways that I think we get these kinds of things used. And one of them is a policy-driven one, which is around standards. How do we have more stringent standards for and more evidence-based and empirical standards for what it is that we're going to fund? And the other is about workflow. Now, workflow sounds kind of nerdy. It is kind of nerdy. But think about it this way. We make decisions not in a vacuum, but we make them within a process. Right, like when we're reading a book, how many of us actually get off the sofa to look, go pick the dictionary off the shelf and look up a word, right? But if it's right there in the margin, you might look it up. And so what we've been looking at are where are those places where decisions are getting made. I'll give you an example. If you're a CTE administrator, a career and technical education administrator, what we used to call VocTech, you would have, you're always trying to figure out what are the programs that we want to make sure that we have available to students so that they can earn what's called an industry recognized credential. Now, there's a big difference between industry recognized and industry sought. How do you create the tool sets that help a CTE administrator evaluate the options that are there? Last year, there were 7,000 CTE students nationally who got the National Beef Council Safe Beef Handling certification. Right? How does that happen? It happens because there's no other source of information, and to the extent there is something out there, it's not where a CTE administrator is making a decision.